That's true. Okay, so interesting bit today as we will definitely be revisiting. I mean, these are conversations that we cannot, pass or let go because it definitely falls within our radar because we also look into what's happening in the global African space, those who are also in the diaspora. Now, just a quick update on what do you call it, Derek Chauvin's trial. Now, Derek Chauvin is the one who actually had his knee on the neck of George Floyd till he actually after taken to the hospital and was pronounced dead. So he's actually being tried, and the jury in Derek Chauvin's trial has heard from multiple witnesses so far, and they've been shown bystander and police footage of George Floyd's final moments. Now, if convicted, Chauvin could face up to 40 years in prison for second-degree murder, up to 25 years for third-degree murder, and up to 10 years for second-degree manslaughter. The charges are to be considered separate, so Chauvin could be convicted of all, some, or none of them. Very interesting. But I mean, a lot of witnesses have actually been talking, and just the recent one is the guy who was in the car with George Floyd. But the judge is saying friend who was in George Floyd's car the day he died will not testify. That's what the judge is saying. But it's still ongoing. Aside that, same city, Minneapolis, Minnesota, another killing took place, and that is the killing, the shooting. Well, he died, so yeah, he's been killed. Of Daunte Wright, who was shot during a scuffle with a police officer. Apparently, he was there's this arrest, a warrant on him. He was pulled over, asked to come out of the car, put his hand behind him so he could be handcuffed. And unfortunately, the scuffle started struggling and everything, and accidentally she shot him. That's via the footage on her body cam. That is what it looks like. And apparently, he drove off a couple of meters away and then crashed the car. And that's another issue because while the trial of Derek Chauvin is ongoing in the same Minneapolis, another one, another kid, 20 years, has been shot. The same place. Another, what do you call it, protest is ongoing again. And then another video pops up from an incident that happened last year in December. It actually involved the assaulting of a lieutenant, a military lieutenant, not just, he was in his uniform. And this was by a police officer in Virginia, asked him to pull over, pepper sprayed his face, and so you find yourself asking questions. What is happening? Fine, a civilian. You did this, you did that, you pulled them over, you asked them to show their hands and what have you. Now to a serving officer, a lieutenant for that matter, and pepper spray. I mean, come on. But before we continue, I should have played this. But let's just start with Derek Chauvin's trial, and then we can proceed. And let me start with Hafiz. Hafiz,
Barry,
how are you?
I'm good.
Great. Today we're crossing all the way to the diaspora.
Mm.
Yeah, recent developments would definitely necessitate that. But Derek Chauvin's trial is ongoing.
Mm.
Yeah, and we've not actually had the final verdict. I believe they're still investigating, and multiple, things are still revealing.
Yeah, I mean, wow. Well, it's America again in the news for all the wrong reasons.
Mm,
And I don't know if it's on this platform I said it or some other platform, but
right.
nothing in America surprises me anymore.
Mm,
I When I hear this news coming from America, I mean, it has almost desensitized me. I mean, I'm just like, well, it's just America again. So what's new? And but quickly looking at Derek Chauvin,
mm,
and I think you read the charges. Now he's standing trial based on three counts. The
mm,
charges, the prosecution counsel, that is
right.
George Floyd's team,
Mm-hmm,
are looking to slap three charges on him. That is second degree unintentional felony murder,
mm-hmm,
third degree murder, and second degree manslaughter, like you
right.
mentioned.
Mm.
Now the interesting question is, I mean, why do we have a lot of degrees when we are
I'm
talking
telling
about
you,
murder?
the man is
Whether
dead.
first degree, second degree, and all that. Okay, so let me just put my, you know,
Your law,
base of
your.
CSI binging to use here. So, all right. So, in American law, when you say first degree murder, first degree is when a murder is you know, committed,
Deliberate.
that is deliberate, okay,
Okay.
premeditated. So you stalk the fellow, eventually you end up killing
Yeah.
them. That's first degree.
Okay.
Second degree is when it's unplanned.
Okay.
So let's say in the heat of the moment, you pull out a gun and then you end up killing the fellow. That's second
By
degree.
accident.
Exactly.
Okay.
So perhaps I think the major difference between first degree and second degree is
Is
just
the
the
intent.
intent.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now there's also third degree. Third degree is what we know here as manslaughter. Now in this case, it's also unplanned,
Okay.
but there needs to be a demonstration that there wasn't a disregard for human life. So say you and I were playing and then I hit you and then you end up dead.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, even though there's manslaughter, I killed you, but then there wasn't any disregard, unlike the second part where you deliberately pull out a gun. I don't know if you get the difference.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get it,
so
but it's just amazed with different definitions of.
anyway, so those are the degrees. I think when the whole thing started, it
Mm.
was like third degree, third degree. They were trying to bump it up to second degree,
Mm.
and hopefully try to get it first. But first is going to be very difficult to prove. Yes,
Yeah.
the intent part is going to be very difficult. So I think they are okay going around with the second degree. Even with the second degree, we are talking about the second degree unintentional felony murder that they are looking to slap on him.
Yeah.
It's they would have to prove beyond reasonable doubt
That.
to make that stick.
Mm.
Yes, and that's the challenge for the prosecution counsel. And so far, they've had testimonies from George Floyd's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
They've had testimonies
From his brother.
from his brother. They've
Yeah.
had testimonies from the 18-year-old that took the
That took
video.
the video.
Yes, and
Mm-hmm.
even the employee that called the cops on him. So
Okay.
yes, so looks like it will
And
go on.
some health practitioners as well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it will go on for a while. I think 3 more weeks of this. So
Mm.
we'll see a lot more come up. And so far, even the head of the MPD, that is the Minneapolis Police Department,
Mm-hmm.
has also said the use of that level of force was unnecessary. So in this case, it's proving good so far for. It's looking good so far for the prosecution counsel because I mean, they are. I mean, usually in previous cases you wouldn't see even fellow officers, you know, back the general public in that regard.
Yeah.
They probably would stick with
With
their
a
fellow
yeah,
officer, but
yeah.
in this regard,
Mm.
in this case, we are seeing a different
A
thing play
different
out,
thing, yeah.
and even with the footage, it's also helping their
It's a
case.
clear cut, yeah.
It's not so clear cut. That's the thing
Really?
with the footage because you see, with the footage, there are instances where even with the footage, they didn't secure a conviction. In the case of Ghana, that was what happened. So it's not so clear cut. And even with the defense and
You
trying to,
think so?
yes,
Hmm.
and even in the case of the defense,
Hmm.
now they are trying to prove that after the autopsy that was conducted,
Okay.
they realized there was some drugs in George Floyd's body. So all they are trying to prove is that yes, he died, but he didn't die as a result of the actions of Derek Chauvin.
Hmm.
So they are trying to distance Derek Chauvin from his death as far as possible. So that is what they are trying to prove.
Something triggered the death, and it was Derek Chauvin. That's what I can say. Anyway, well, we'll come back to you, Hafiz. Let me hear Epifania on the ongoing trial of Derek Chauvin. Happens to be one of the is it the prime suspects? Yeah, of the death of George Floyd.
I think this is something we all saw coming. I
Mm.
remember the time we actually had argument here on this show about whether he should be given the first degree, the second degree,
Yeah.
and why each person thought he should be given this. But is it okay to say I'm happy that we can see that action is at least going on?
Well, yeah, to some extent one can say that.
At least
Mm.
there's something happening, which is important, which is the prosecution.
Promising,
The
yeah.
fact that actually is moved
Yeah.
from the first to the second, and we're
Right.
still moving on. I'm happy, but I hope it doesn't stop there
Okay.
because I mean, day in day out, who would expect that something like this will happen to
Would
Dante
happen,
in the
right.
midst of all this,
Exactly.
with an ongoing trial,
Trial.
and then somebody else loses their lives again? It's. I feel it's a conscious thing. I still don't get. I'm still particularly bothered about mistaking a taser for a gun.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that part. We'll get to that part. And let me hear at Mommy. Okay, let me just hear what she's got to say. I mean, she's been friends with the whole issue because her exclamation sometimes, the what? In the office, I'm like, yeah, she's so into it. I know, right? On the ongoing trial of Derek Chauvin.
Yeah,
Mm.
I read that the three arguments the defense is focusing on is that firstly George Floyd died of drug and health problems,
Yep.
and then Chauvin's use of force was ugly but appropriate. I mean, and then third, the crowd of bystanders became hostile and distracted Chauvin from taking care of Floyd.
All right.
These,
I
in my
believe.
opinion,
Mm,
are baseless arguments.
right.
In a sense that he could have underlying health problems.
But
But
something
this was a
triggered.
man
Mm,
who was walking. He was
mm,
a living man who was buying something
healthy.
from a store.
Gentle giant.
So if even if he had health problems, they
Right.
didn't kill him.
Mm,
Something pushed the health
something
problems
triggered it.
to kill the man.
Mm.
And then the crowd of bystanders.
Well, how did they were even scared to even get closer because
It's like
apparently the other cops were
it's
trying
like
to
you
just
you look at
tell
this
them to mind
and
their
then
business.
you look at this and then you're thinking, we all saw the video. How dumb do you think we are?
Mm, right. Well, words were wise is enough. The show is Africa Daily on Africa Global Radio. Well, still in the same city of Minneapolis in Minnesota, another, you know, young man was also shot by a police officer, and he was supposed to be, taken in more of like arrested, but unfortunately, back and forth and all of that. And per the footage of her body cam, you could hear her saying, "I'll tase you," but "I'll tase you"
She was holding
followed her holding a gun, pointing at the young man who actually got himself back into the car. And throughout this, she was accidentally discharged fire. It was like, "I shot him." That was what she said. "I shot him." But then, if you're tasing the person, you're supposed to have the taser in your arm. How come you have the gun? So there's a lot of people, there's a lot of, conversations surrounding this particular issue. Others are jumping to her defense, saying that she didn't know it was an accident, but the boy's dead. Let me hear from Hafiz. Hafiz,
Very.
Daunte Wright
The
was
latest
also,
victim.
yeah, the latest one. Whilst Derek Chauvin's trial is ongoing,
Mhm.
another, protest in Minnesota as a result of the killing of Daunte Wright, 20-year-old young man. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of us saw the video
Mm-hmm.
and everything, the body cam footage.
Yeah.
Yes, something that was supposed to be a routine,
Exercise.
yes, stop and search.
Yeah.
Even if he had a warrant for his arrest, which they claim he did.
Yeah, there
I mean,
was. Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
I mean, you were three in number, trying to take down one
One
person.
person. Yeah.
How difficult is that? How difficult is that? Must you use lethal force? Now, even I mean, we've seen a lot of talk about what exactly went on,
Mm.
and sometimes, with the footage, some would say it doesn't exactly portray what went on.
Mm.
So, and there are some accounts now. Listening, reading pieces on
Yeah.
Wright's mother's accounts of the event, she said, "Look, even before the whole thing went down, her son called her, and she said the son told her that he was getting pulled over by
Oh, before.
yes,
Okay.
before he was getting pulled over because he had an air freshener hanging on his rearview mirror, and which is actually an offense in Minnesota. Actually,
Okay.
yes, having your
Right.
air freshener hanging on your rearview mirror.
Really.
Yes, you can get pulled over for that. Interesting. So,
Freedom. This is why I play Freedom from Abbey's Ghana.
fact.
In the meantime, the cop who shot him has been, arrested.
Kimberly Porter.
Yes, and I think if she's found guilty, of course, second-degree murder, she may be facing up to 10 years imprisonment. But
So
yeah.
yeah. So with all this happening,
Mm.
in America, every now and then we are seeing a lot of blacks getting killed. The number of blacks getting killed by non-black officers. You're asking why? Now this got me gathering a lot of pieces and reading up on some piece I came across when I saw a term, implicit bias,
Okay.
and pulling up a lot of psychology journals. And look, and how the whole thing works when it comes to the way we see things, and not just but in this case, the way the police operates.
Mm.
So when you talk about implicit bias, it's simple. Now, a bias here is simply when you are supposed to act in a neutral manner, but you decide to show
To
preference.
favor one.
Yes, a certain
Right.
preference for, or an aversion to a particular
Exactly.
group. That's a
Mm.
bias.
Right.
Implicit here simply means you are unaware. So unconsciously you do it. So merge these two words together, and you have a certain attitude or behavior.
Mm.
Yes, further strengthening certain stereotype, towards a certain group of people. Unconsciously,
Implicit bias.
that's implicit bias.
Do we even need that?
So now, and it's not just in police work; it affects every one of us. the way we think about certain people. So it's the reason
Mm.
there are so many studies that white people generally associate black people with criminality
Mm-hmm.
and don't even know it sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just that's the
It's
way the bias
unconscious,
works.
huh?
Exactly.
Mm.
That is how bad it is. And there are so many studies. It's not something that I'm just making up. It's something that has been done by one professor in Yale, another in Colorado.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many studies on that. And so these things keep happening. And you have someone that thinks like this. So whenever they meet a black folk and the way they handle them is quite different from,
The way they handle the
yes,
Mm.
their own.
right.
So it's extra force or they meet you and sudden movements triggers them because they feel, oh, you are reaching for a gun.
Yeah.
You are reaching for, it could be a mirror, it could be anything you are reaching for, but once they see sudden movements, once they don't see your hands, and then
Could
there's
be
a problem.
unbuckling your seat belts.
There's a problem.
And you My
And so-
goodness.
So,
Okay. Well, before we continue, let's hear this particular clip. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
How many occupants are in the vehicle?
What's going on?
How many occupants are in your vehicle?
It's only myself. Why are your weapons drawn? What's going
Open the
on?
door slowly and step out. Open the door.
I'm not getting out the vehicle. What's going on?
Get out the car. Open the door slowly and get out.
What's going on?
Get out of the car now. Open the door and get out the car.
Hold still, hold. Keep your hands outside the window. Keep your hands outside the window.
My hands are right here. What's going
Get out
on?
of the car now.
Get out of the car.
What's
now.
going on?
Get out of the car now. Get out of the car now.
I'm serving this country and this is how I'm treated?
Yo, what? Guess what? I'm a veteran too. I don't obey.
That's
Get
not-
out of the car.
What's going on?
Get out of the car now.
What's going on?
What's going on? You fixing to ride the lightning, son.
I'm sorry, what?
Get out of the car now.
What's going
Get out of the
on?
car now. Get out of the car.
Sir, just get out the car. Work with us and we'll talk to you. Get out the car.
You received an order. Obey it.
I'm honestly afraid to get out. Can I?
Yeah, you
ask
should
what's
be.
going-
Get out.
What's
Get
going
out.
on? What
Get
did
out
I
the
do?
car.
Get out now.
I have not committed any crimes
You're being stopped for a traffic violation. You're not cooperating at this point right now. You're under arrest
For a traffic-
You're being detained. Okay, you're being detained for
for a
obstruction of justice.
traffic violation. I do not have to get out the vehicle. You haven't even told
Really?
me why I'm being stopped.
Really?
Get your
Get,
hands.
get out of the car now. Get out of the car.
Get your hands off me,
Get out of
please.
the-
Get your hands off me.
You know what?
Get your hands off me.
Not a
Get your
problem.
hands off me.
Back up
I
there.
didn't do anything. Don't do that.
Sir,
Get out of the car
Don't do
now.
that.
Hey, sir,
Get out of
do
the car
that.
now.
Don't do.
look,
I'm trying to talk
get out.
to you.
Okay.
I'm trying to
I'm
talk.
gonna talk to
Get
you.
out.
Just get out of my
Relax.
car.
Can you please
Get out.
relax? Can
Get
you
out.
please relax?
Get out of the car right
I-
now.
This
Now.
is not how you treat a vet. I'm actively serving this country, and this is how you're gonna treat me.
Back up, Daniel.
I didn't do any.
Back up.
Whoa, hold on.
Back
What's going? Hold on. Watch. Watch it.
And for overseas deployed. Get out of the car. Get out of the car now.
Global Radio. I love Africa Global Radio.
This is not a civilian, by the way. He's a black Latino, Lieutenant Carino Nazario in Virginia. This happened way back in 2020 in December. Apparently, he got pulled over by the Virginia police cop, and then he drove to this filling station where apparently, well, Hafiz will explain that further. You need to pull over under where the lightning system is actually working so they can actually see you. He did that. They say he should get out of the car and got pepper sprayed. However, this police officer, one of them has been fired. Joe Gutierrez, he has been fired, and Carino Nazario is suing them for an amount of $1 million. $1 million lawsuits. I think it's even less for me, if you ask me. But this is very, very scary, Hafiz. You know what I thought was my friend, the one who got the book for me?
Okay.
He's also in the military. He's in the Air Force, Jalal.
Okay.
He's the first person that came to my mind. So Could it have been Jalal, who is a friend we grew up together here? I mean, come on.
And it's so sad. The guy is in his uniform, a trooper
Exactly.
coming home. We all see in their movies how they glorify their servicemen, how
Oh yes.
they are always like, thank you for your service, blah blah blah. And in reality, this is the picture we're getting. So Hollywood in the mud again. But anyway, it's really sad in the fact that, look, is it because he's black? And and this time around, what's the excuse really? He's not in a hoodie.
Yes. He's not in a hoodie.
Yes, so you said that, okay, he was in a hoodie and then
To the
blah,
extent
blah, blah,
of
so
telling him that you should be afraid.
he did everything. Look, and that's the most scary
He
thing
kept
about
asking,
it.
what
You
did I,
see,
what's the problem?
you could comply with everything and still not escape,
I think that was what was
That is the
really in
scary
the
part.
mind of Daunte.
because you are told, yes, you park at a place that is that is what brilliantly lit. Okay, you have the lighting system working, and so when they stopped him, according to the narration, he didn't immediately stop.
Yeah, he drove to where
To
the
where-
lightning
yes,
system
exactly.
was working. Yeah.
And stop there so that in case of any eventuality, well, like we are seeing now, I mean, the body counts will be able to capture whatever it is that happened. And according to the narration, is that, well, he was driving in tinted a car that had tinted
Yeah, glasses.
and
Yeah.
everything, and there was no license plates. But in his defense, he said, well, it was a new car. So a lot of back and forth, but we'll still get the details, I'm sure, when
Mm-hmm.
this whole thing
Yeah.
comes up. But essentially, what I get from this whole incident with the trooper is simple. You see, as a black man, it appears in America there isn't any level of success that will prove enough to insulate you from police brutality.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
The
where you
moment
find
your skin
yourself.
tone is black, you are fair game. That's how bad it is.
Very sad, man. Very sad. Very, very sad. And I love the comments that the mayor, Mike Elliott, passed. He said he also thinks that majority of the cops operating in his jurisdictions are not from the place. So that is where you find a cop asking you to take them downtown or to where and what have you. He made mention of that, and I don't know how that is,
They
but
need to start questioning their training method.
because you bring a cop who is totally a new person in this jurisdiction and maybe doesn't even know what are some of the things here. Fine, he may have that thing that a warrant for his arrest and what have you.
You
But
see, Barry, not to cut you, everything has a ripple effect. If you watch America's gun culture, how easy it is to purchase
a gun, yeah,
in certain states.
yeah.
Some, in fact, you are not eligible to drink in certain states, but you can actually purchase a gun.
Which is more deadly.
So it's so weird. And so when it's so easy, a system makes it so easy to acquire a gun. What it means is that you walk into any situation, you view anybody as a possible threat.
Yeah, and you need to defend
These
yourself.
are police officers
in
that
quotes.
exactly that naturally would work with these guns. And well, with recent events, they've been what you call militarized. And so he meets anybody, your average Joe that he's supposed to be interacting with normally. Already he thinks he's a threat. He
So the
makes
next
certain
thing he
certain
goes in,
movements
he goes
exactly.
for the gun.
Then he feels his life is under threat, and then he decides to go for the gun. In Ghana here, we don't see that because we don't exactly see someone and then assume they have a gun on them.
We need them. Yeah,
Or they're
no.
packing,
We are
no.
good to go with some sticks and
So-
balls and what. But unfortunately, let me bring in Epi here. Epi,
Barry.
the tape was very heartbreaking, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, I think I'm happy the way he handled himself. Karan did well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, for a second lieutenant, he did well. The sergeant major of the army has also said he was happy about the way he represented the army, being very calm.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that he believes that they should talk about. Situations like this is what he wants the soldiers to talk about. Because if you watch the video yourself, I mean, what is happening? The part that got me was the man. The guy said he was afraid, and he said, "Yeah, you
Yes, it
should be.
Yeah.
Should be afraid of what?
Mm.
For what?"
I'm supposed to be saved by
so
you guys.
you
Like, I'm
you
supposed to be
I don't know if
safe
you
with
remember the
guys.
argument I was having with you about Daunte, and you were telling me, oh, sometimes the
No,
body comes
but
in. So for such an instance, you
Mm.
think Daunte was not scared?
I think that, like I said, that may be what could be running through his mind because you
Because
may
there
do
been people
everything
who
just
have
like Hafiz
complied, and then
said,
they will
and
still
then
die. And so, what would make
And there
him?
was-
And this is somebody who has a child.
There was this other one who actually got apprehended, and she actually died in custody.
Yeah.
How did that happen? So I think these are some of the things that keeps coming back
imagine,
to them.
Imagine sleeping in your room and someone walks in there and shoots you and says you are a burglar.
So
That happened
Breonna
ex-
Taylor.
it's
Breonna
just
not,
Taylor.
not Breonna Taylor. This guy.
Brianna was also shot in her room.
Yes,
Yeah.
that
Brenna
happened,
was
but
shot. Then there
this
was the
guy.
woman who was shot in front of her little nephew.
So,
She was playing video games with him and shot her through the window, and she just died in
Right.
front of the
So
boy.
so the police chief has stepped down. Aside Kim Porter being arrested, and of course she's going to face trial.
Yeah, and Kim Porter herself, she's actually
She
been
resigned.
charged.
Yeah, I mean,
She resigned. She also had to leave her home
she's been
because
charged
her
with-
address was leaked to the public, and then she's been charged with
Well, she-
second-degree manslaughter.
manslaughter. Yeah. And if that
Yes.
goes through, she'd be facing 10 years in jail. But, mommy,
Bye.
you were really, really very
I was
angry.
so mad.
Yeah,
I was so mad.
very worrying.
What is running through my mind right now? Isn't there? We watch movies and then we see these tests where they can tell if a person is lying or not.
The what do you call it? What do you call that? What do you call that stuff? What do you call that machine again?
It's polygraph test.
Isn't there a way they can tune that to check if a person is racist or not?
Interesting, but
Racial graph.
yeah, maybe racial graph or something. But yeah, I mean,
That's the thing.
and she was like, "I'll tase you, and you're holding a gun.
That's you see that's
What?
that's what I was
Yeah,
asking you.
like,
I don't
if you're
get.
saying you want to tase the person.
You can tell me you're
It's
mixing
so-
a
it's
gun
like-
with a taser.
Okay. Is it possible?
Let me
Yeah,
So
no,
then
let her
I'm
land
thinking-
before you.
At which point in the exchange did she not realize she was holding a gun
Gun,
instead
yes.
of a taser?
And I believe the weight of a gun would differ from a taser.
And you see,
I haven't held one before, but I'm tempted to believe so.
my question is, now you reached for a gun.
Right.
So what were you thinking that you actually, for you to have
What were you
reached for
going
a
to do
gun?
with a gun?
No, let's assume that, well, in the haste or in the rush, she got
Scuffle and
panicked
all.
and so she just quickly reached for something for safety.
Yeah.
What was running through your mind that you actually reached for something you didn't even bother to check whether it could cause damage or not? Because she knew the gun could cause. If she literally, it was so close that when she shot, he just needed one shot and he died. One shot was all
Well,
that killed him. So what was
this-
she
but
thinking?
you see, but another thing.
But you see,
Yeah.
the angle. Okay, look. I hope I don't get flagged for this, but you see, the guy also resisted arrest.
That's one thing I was just about to say.
He resisted.
Mm.
Now, in resisting, that's what I'm saying. A lot of them, when they stop them over, because with him there was a warrant out for his
him, for
arrest,
his
but
arrest
that
already,
is
yeah.
not because
It
even-
doesn't justify.
exactly
Yeah.
that is not
yeah.
enough reason to actually shoot him.
Mm.
But there was a warrant out for his arrest. So, in your mind, going to pick up such a person, you believe, oh, he's a criminal.
Already.
I don't know if you get me.
Mm.
Anything is possible, so be ready for anything.
Anything the worst.
You see,
Right.
the thing is,
So-
when they actually stopped, sorry, I'm not cutting, but when they cut, it's not like they went out for him. Oh. When they stopped him, they took his name. And he called, the issue was he had issue with his insurance. So he literally called the big brother, and the brother told him to call the mother for the insurance information. So then the time he called the mother, he had given the name. So he was trying to get the information about the insurance for them. And then she had the scuffle on the phone
You see, even with
before the line
insurance
was
thing,
cut.
he was supposed to appear in court. He had a case pending. He was supposed to appear in court on April 2nd.
And he didn't.
He didn't. And
Wow.
so there was a warrant out for his arrest. So immediately his name came up. They knew, oh, this is our guy.
This is the guy. So let's just.
So
take him.
exactly.
let's
So
just threaten
And then
him
all
with
of a
gun.
sudden, gun becomes
it
the
was
first
just
point
an
of
unfortunate
defense.
incident.
So let's just threaten to tase him with a gun.
Really?
no.
Well, let's see. Well, generally, it's not just. I mean, it's not a justifiable action. Generally, I know so. I stand by that. But there was this video I also saw. Right, the officer pulled the lady, and he collected her bag. Apparently, she had weed and other, drug stuff in it. And she also, went, like, she took the bag, ran quickly into the car, and then the guy was like, come out of the car, come out of the car. And then all she did was pull a gun and shoot the guy. Yeah, she shot the police officer, but fortunately for him, it didn't really, affect any. You saw that video?
Yes. So
And
you see,
he also shot her, and she actually died.
you see,
So, these are some of the things I think some of them would be
you see,
looking to
because
prevent.
a lot of them, when you go out there, it's either you or them.
Yeah.
Okay, and so they are not exactly dealing with individuals that are law abiding. Well, I mean, a lot of the time, if
Yeah.
Wait, when you put it like that,
wait,
no, no, no,
wait,
you
wait,
cannot,
some-
you
some
cannot
women-
put it like
hold
that.
on,
I don't
hold on.
know
You guys,
if
you
You
guys-
cannot,
wait,
you
hold
cannot
on,
put
sorry,
it like
no,
that.
no, hold on, hold on.
You can't
Hold
put
on.
it like that.
No,
Mommy,
no
what?
holding on.
Put
And
it
if
on like
if
that
any
doesn't,
of
it's
you
not
heard
right.
the story
Let me hear. What?
of
What?
a white
why
kid
do you-
who shot up a high school,
Mm.
and then he was arrested, and then he was taken for a beggar before he was sent to the police station.
Hold on. Hold on.
alright.
I
So this
get,
is
I get that.
clearly
But
a
what do you
colour
mean
thing.
by not law-abiding citizens?
no, some of them. That's why I keep
Some,
saying,
right,
yes.
right.
Now,
Because
have you-
some of them, when there's a warrant out for the arrest, or they are
They
going
tend to resist.
exactly, because look, a lot of the time they tell you do this, do that, but even in those instances, we still see things going left.
Exactly.
But have we
Yeah.
wondered what has
So-
caused this resistance?
So what happens is, look, that's why they keep saying they talk, they give them the talk, but we still see what happens.
It's not
But
talking.
but with the police force,
Yeah.
there's a lot obviously going on there, and for me, I just feel it's the gun culture in America, and until that is addressed, this whole thing of getting or arming a good guy, the only person that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, doesn't work.
It doesn't-
It's
it doesn't
it's
hold
just
there.
a political
I
rhetoric.
just want to ask
Right.
Hafiz if he has actually, if you saw the story of the policeman, the black policeman who actually spoke about the kind of training they are given when they are dealing with blacks and then when they're dealing with whites and when they're dealing with Latinos.
Yeah. There was that video. some
Did you
time back
see
we
it?
saw
Because it's not about a good guy having
Well-
gun or army, or it's not just about the gun
Well, as they
culture
say,
in America. It's
as-
about the
as
training
the
itself
saying-
of the police officers.
as the
Part of
saying
gun
goes-
culture. The culture means the way
Well,
of life.
anyway.
Yes, but
we
I
are
feel the
really
training
running
is
out of
super
time, but
important.
Thank you very much, guys. As they say, the issue is systemic. It's in the system already. So, right from the top and all of that. Thank you very much, guys. We don't really have much time, but hopefully we will continue this conversation. Should we, have or get any developments from the Derek Chauvin's trial, the Carrion Nazario's case, and of course Daunte Wright right here on the Africa Daily Show. The show will be coming your way Monday to Friday. Of course, that's how it is. Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. GMT on Africa Global Radio.